Hi aspirants, welcome to our weekly current affairs module for science and technology and internal security. Our first topic for today is Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer, or simply the IXPE. This is a space mission jointly by NASA and the Italian Space Agency. This is an important prelims question, we have to know it. The mission will study the most extreme and mysterious objects in the universe. For example, supernova remnants, supermassive black holes, and many other things. And this will be orbiting around the Earth's equator. Again, this is an important prelims point. It will be orbiting around the Earth's equator. It will complement other X-ray telescopes such as the Chandra X-ray Observatory and the European Space Agency's X-ray Observatory. So, European Space Agency's is X-ray Observatory and the XMM Newton. So, again all these are important prelims points. And coming back to some conventional data, so what is a supernova? It is an extremely powerful explosion that accompanies the death of a massive star. The point here is supernova happens only for a massive star. So will our own sun, when it explodes, will it occur as a supernova? No, because our sun is a dwarf star. It is not a massive star. And what is a black hole? It is a place in space where gravity pull is so much that even light cannot escape it. The gravity is so strong because the matter has been squeezed into such a tiny space. The gravitational waves are created when two black holes orbit each other and they merge. And what is a neutron star? A neutron star comprises one of the possible evolutionary endpoints of a high mass star. So a high mass star, after it explodes, it could end up as a neutron star. Once the core of the star has completely burnt into iron alone, the energy production stops and the core rapidly collapses, squeezing the electrons and protons to form neutrons and neutrinos. Now you would know why it is called as a neutron star. So the electrons and protons, they collapse into neutrons and neutrinos. So that is why this could be called as a neutron star. And it may be seen as a pulsar if the magnetic field is favorably aligned with its spin axis. So what causes a pulsar? So what causes a pulsar is a neutron star. Sometimes a pulsar could be caused from a neutron star. And something extra we have to know is some other recent missions. So the DART, it's a double asteroid redirection test. So it's going to trying to deflect an asteroid. This is just a test. If at all there is an asteroid coming to harm the earth, it's going to fall on the earth, will we be able to avoid it? Will we be able to deflect it? It's just a test for that. And the next one is mission Lucy. It is the Jupiter's Trojan asteroids. So it's going to investigate or research on the asteroids around Jupiter. Another one is near Earth asteroid Scout. So this is another program, a space mission to again research on a asteroid. So all these three programs are for asteroids and all these three are by NASA. So our next topic is Comet Leonard. So what are comets first? They are icy leftovers from the early phase of formation of outer planets. So they are just the leftovers. That is why we are still debating on whether Pluto it is a planet or it's a comet or something like that. So this comet A1 Leonard is a long period comet. So this is something important for prelims again. It is a long period comet. And it has a retrograde orbit. So all these are prelims questions. So it has a retrograde orbit. And this comet Leonard, it was the first comet to be discovered in 2021. So let us know about what is a long period comet. Long period comets normally have an eccentric orbit. their period range is greater than 200 years. So this is the point here. So a comet which has a period of more than 200 years, so we can see them only once in 200 years. Such comets are called as long period comets. It's usually from thousands to even millions of years. On the other hand, what is the short term period comet are those comets whose orbital period is less than 200 years. So the question here is whether it is greater than 200 years or lesser than 200 years. If it's greater than 200 years, it is called as a long period comet. If it is if the orbital period is lesser than 200 years, it will be called as a short period comet. So this is the key here. And the short period comets are believed to have originated from centaurs. This is just a Greek mythological story, so you don't have to worry so much about it, but just know it. They are said to be originated from centaurs. And a retrograde orbit. What is a retrograde orbit? Is the rotational motion of the astronomical object in the direction opposite to the rotation of the primary. So the other one to the retrograde orbit is a prograde orbit. So it is a prograde orbit. In here, the motion of the object is in the same direction as of the primary object. Let us say, for example, the sun is rotating from west to east. If the earth is revolving from west to east, then the earth orbits in a prograde orbit. So this is what it means. So when the sun is orbiting from west to east, and if the earth is revolving from east to west, then it will be called as a retrograde orbit. So mostly we can see that this comet Leonard and most of the comets are retrograde orbiting comets. So the next one, Log4j. So this was in news because there was a serious error in Log4j and most of the companies were panicking over it. And this is called as Apache Log4j. It is a Java based logging utility. So not much is need to be known about this. You just have to know what is Log4j. It is a logging utility. Logging utility will be used by programmers to log their details. That is the programming details. That's all. And who manufactures it? It is the product of Java, and there was a bug in it, and which was threatened to be a huge bug, but it was solved. The next topic is space associated neuroocular syndrome, or simply called as SANS. So what is this? Actually, body fluids that naturally flow into our heads while sleeping in a supine position. So normally body fluids move to the eyes, to the head actually. But when in space, astronauts could suffer from problems in vision because these fluids push and reshape the back of the eyeball. You can look it here. So it will change the shape of the eyeball, and because of this it could cause a vision problem for the astronauts, and definitely this is not going to be a good thing. Some symptoms include swelling in the optic disc, which is where the optic nerve enters the retina. So the optic disc, so some questions in science are asked like this sometimes. So the optic disc is a place where the optic nerve enters the retina, and at this point the flattening of the eye shape happens. So when the fluid reaches here and when it pressures the eyeball, it flattens the shape of the eye, and this type of problem is called as SANS. And why it is in news is because the scientists have invented a new type of sleeping bag which avoids this for the astronaut. You can see it here in the picture. The sleeping bag is shown here. When the astronaut sleeps in such a sleeping bag, it avoids the fluid from flowing back to the head, and because of that causing eye vision problems. Okay. And the next topic is empty calories. So once in a while we can see that UPSC concentrates on questions related to eating habits, food habits, health and all such things. So you have to know about this. So what are empty calories? So empty calories, they heighten the risk of cardiovascular diseases, lifestyle diseases and hormonal disorders. This hormonal disorder is something to be taken care of very much in recent times. particularly for women health. While the country is moving towards women empowerment, struggling for women empowerment, this is something very serious to be noted here, because hormonal disorders affect women more than men. So nowadays we can see diseases like PCOD, PCOS, and so on. And this also leads to things like thyroid problems and many more. But these are not much taken care of, this because there's very less awareness about these diseases. And this is caused by many reasons, and one important reason for this is empty calories. And what are empty calories? And some of the examples for empty calories include carbohydrate based desserts, sugary drinks, condiments such as ketchups, barbecue sauce, and so on, alcohol based beverages, and most of the fast food and junk food like burgers, chips, pizzas, and so on. So it's always good to avoid such food so that we maintain our health. And this is for general knowledge to be known, and for exam what is necessary is what are empty calories. This is what is the important point here. And recently a study conducted by the University of Barcelona and CIBER on frailty and health aging, the study found that plant-based diet reduces the risk of cognitive impairment and dementia in the elderly people. So this is again an important data, maybe it could be asked in the exam. So it says that plant-based food could reduce cognitive impairment and dementia in the elderly people. And the next topic is VLSR SAM, or vertically launched short range surface to air missiles. And VLSR SAM for the Navy was recently designed and developed by DRDO. This is for neutralizing various aerial threats of close range, including sea skimming targets. What are sea skimming targets? Those aircrafts or missiles that move nearby the surface of the sea to avoid being detected by the radars. So such missiles can be very difficult to be detected and they could very easily reach the targets. But this VLSR SAM missile could easily identify those sea skimming targets as well, and they can neutralize them also. This is an important point here. The missile has been designed to strike targets at the range of 40 to 50 kilometers and an altitude of 15 kilometers. And it is designed based on Astra missile. That's an important point. It is designed based on the Astra missile, and Astra missile is a air-to-air missile. The key features of this VLSR SAM are: it is a cruciform winged missile. So this is a cruciformed winged missile, something like a cross or a plus. So this type of wings having in a missile is called as a cruciform wing, and it is also has thrust vectoring. So the cruciform wings are 4 small wings arranged like cross on 4 sides, and it gives the projectile a stable aerodynamic posture. And what about this thrust vectoring? The thrust vectoring is an ability to change the direction of the thrust from its engine control. So even if the missile is launched, its direction could be changed later on. This is an important point. And this missile VLSR SAM is a canistered missile. So what is a canistered missile? You could see it here. Simply it will be put inside a can, that's all. The next current affair is lightweight firefighting suit. This has been given for our armed forces. Recently our armed forces have got certain technology from the DRDO, something like modular bridge technology, smart anti-airfield weapon, or simply called as SAW, shaft variants, and lightweight firefighting suit. This firefighting suit, it protects the soldier against heat and flames. It protects against water, chemicals, abrasion, cuts, lacerations, and so on. So it is it is like a safety suit. This has different layers: outer shell, moisture barrier, and a thermal barrier. The outer shell, it is the external layer and it is the most durable component of the suit. It has functions such as it protects from heat and flames, chemicals, waters, abrasion, cut, all these. It just does the external job. And the next middle layer is the moisture barrier layer. This moisture barrier layer, it helps the firefighters to stay cooler and comfortable. It allows vapor to move out of the body so that they don't feel sweated and uncomfortable. This moisture barrier layer, the middle layer, just be known that it is for providing comfort. It provides extra protection against water penetration. It provides protection against heat and also other chemicals as well. And the innermost layer, that is the thermal layer. This is the innermost layer. It provides insulation by creating air cushions and microclimate chambers to favor comfort and minimize heat stress. So this is again for providing comfort. It also creates something called as air cushions. It increases the comfort level by wicking away moisture away from the body. So the job of the middle layer and the inner layer, that is the thermal layer, are almost the same, and it protects the moisture bearer from any damage from within. So from inside, if the sweat could leak to the moisture barrier layer, the middle layer, which is the most important layer, that layer could be damaged. So this thermal layer protects the central middle layer. This is also an important point. So the next one is chaff, advanced chaff technology. So this chaff is an electronic countermeasure technology used by militaries to protect ships or even aircrafts or any targets from the radar and radio frequency guiding mechanism of the enemy missile. Simply, there is an enemy missile. It tries to attack the, let us say the army is going in the pilot is going in an air force aircraft. The aircraft is being targeted and shot by a missile. So how does the missile track that aircraft? Is by using the heat of that aircraft. The radar in that missile will track that aircraft. So chaff is one technology to confuse that missile from reaching the target. So the chaff will have many small aluminum or iron or zinc coated fibers. They have aluminum or zinc coated fibers. So once the pilot knows the aircraft has been targeted and shot with some missile, he will release this chaff. So when you can look at here, so many shafts will be released, many small shafts will be released on this missile will get confused. So this shaft will confuse the missile where is the actual target, and it will not hit the target. Similar to chaff, the other one is flares. So flares will be fired to provide an alternative strong infrared source. So because a missile could track the aircraft or a ship or whatever it is using the heat signal. So when flares are produced, this flares also will produce heat, that too infrared heat. So the missile will get confused. So which is the actual target? Where it will think there will be multiple targets and it will reach the wrong target. So that so the missile or the ship will escape. So we have seen this in Iron Man movie. So in Iron Man movie, when he will be targeted with the missile, he'll say flares. So immediately there'll be some small things coming out of his Iron Man suit, and that missile will not attack him. So that is where we have seen flare in movies. And chaff is something very similar. Flare creates an alternative infrared heat, but this chaff uses aluminum or zinc coated fibers to confuse the missile that is coming. So that's all. But both are almost similar. Okay. And the chaff is of three types: short range chaff rocket, medium range chaff rocket, and long range chaff rocket. So chaff is of three types. The next topic is AGC 114905. Nothing, simply a galaxy. This is a galaxy, and this is for the first time a scientist has found that there is a galaxy which has no dark matter at all, because until now we were believing that anything which is in the universe has some part of dark matter also. This is what we were knowing for a very long time. And you can see here, in the whole universe, matter is 31 percentage and dark energy is 69 percentage, almost like water and land which we have in our earth. Almost 70% is dark energy. And out of this total matter, 80 percentage is dark matter and just 20 percentage is regular matter. So almost 97 percentage or something is dark matter and dark energy together. Okay, so the rest, very small part, is our regular matter which we are seeing. And this regular matter is what all the stars, the galaxies, the dust, everything that we know, what we have discovered and what we know is just these 3% or something. And all the rest we don't even know what it is, we just know it is theoretically, that's all. Okay, and dark matter is a form of matter that makes up 27 percentage of the universe's mass. So dark matter is 27 percentage. So but in this AGC 114905, this is the first galaxy to be invented or discovered, actually the first galaxy to be discovered which has no dark matter at all. But laws of gravity expect us to see stars closer to the center of galaxies rotating faster than the stars on the edge. So this is how laws of physics should work, because at the center the gravity will be very high, so the stars near to the center of a galaxy should be revolving much faster or even rotating very faster. But the stars at the edge of the galaxy, very far away from the center of the galaxy, they have very little gravitational force, they should be revolving slowly, but this does not happen. All the stars are revolving with the same speed. So this is where the scientists started thinking there should be some other force which is pushing this stars at the edge of galaxies to make them move faster, and that was called as dark energy. So that is how we know what is dark energy, but we have not seen or experimented anywhere as dark energy. And what is gravitational lensing? So when a black hole is in alignment with a distant star, so in the same lining, due to gravitational attraction, light rays are bent inwards like a lens. So the light rays behave like a lens, making the star appear brighter. So what does a lens do? It makes an object appear bigger than what it is actually. Here the light rays bend inwards, forming a structure like a lens, and it makes the star appear brighter than it is actually. So this concept is called as gravitational lensing. But this is a very rare phenomena, because it can occur only when a star, a black hole, and the observer on the earth all are in the same line, aligned. Only then this concept can happen. And but this phenomenon was first proposed by Albert Einstein in his general theory of relativity. So some points to take here are, this gravitational lensing can be happening only in a condition where a black hole, a star, and the observer from the earth all are aligned in a single line, and it was discovered by, this concept was discovered by Albert Einstein. Next one is Wales Marine. So what is Wales Marine? It is a canyon. So we know what is a canyon, right? So a gorge is a place where on two sides you have wall like structure, and in between a river will be moving, and then we'll call it as a gorge. If it's a canyon, if that same gorge is extending for a few kilometers together, then we call it as a canyon. We know about the Great Canyon in USA, which is the longest canyon on the earth. All these things we would have learned in geography, right? And this Wales Marine is a canyon in Mars, and this is the largest canyon in the solar system. So the largest canyon in the solar system is in Mars, and water has been discovered here. So this is the important thing, water has been discovered in this canyon, Wales Marine. And who discovered this? The Roscosmos ExoMars Gas Orbiter. So this is the one which discovered water in this canyon. This is a joint mission of European Space Agency and Russian Roscosmos Agency. And water was spotted using the Trace Gas Orbiter or TGO. And it has a fine resolution epithermal neutron detector. This gas orbiter, this is just an orbiter, something like a small satellite which was sent to Mars, and this has an equipment called as fine resolution epithermal neutron detector. This neutron detector has detected that water is present in this canyon. And the extra information is the Jezero crater in the Mars. So this is also a crater. This Jezero crater, it was once a lake. This is also an extra information. So the points, the questions that could come out in a prelims exam are Wales Marine. What is it? It is a canyon. It is in Mars. And the mission is the Roscosmos ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter. This is a mission, and it is a joint mission by European Space Agency and Russian Space Agency. And what is the satellite? Trace Gas Orbiter or Trace Gas Orbiter. This is the orbiter or the satellite that was sent, and the instrument that found the water was FRIEND, F-R-E-N-D. And the Jezero crater, where is it? It is in Mars. So these are some of the details for prelims. The next topic is SGTF test kits. Formally it is known as S-gene target failure test. S-gene target failure test. This proxy test can be used for early detection of Omicron. This is particularly for Omicron. So why this test is used for just detecting Omicron only? This test detects the absence of the S gene. This S gene, it is an indicator of the presence of Omicron variant in a COVID patient. So what finds or what determines whether the COVID is Omicron or some other variant? If it is Omicron, there will be no S gene. S gene will be absent. Okay. So here the S gene is not present in the Omicron variant. This is the result of multiple mutations that the variant has undergone, and it is a marker to identify this variant. So these are the important details. So one is how Omicron is determined if there is no S gene. So for that, what test is used? SGTF test is used. The next one is flexible fuel vehicles. So we know about the determinations that we have given in the Glasgow summit and how much we are striving for towards zero emission and so on. So we are trying various ways to reduce emission, and one such is this flexible fuel vehicles or FFVs. This is a modified version of a vehicle that could run both on petrol and doped petrol. So what is a doped petrol? Petrol mixed with ethanol, and it could be of different percentages. Depending on the percentage, the value differs and the names also differ. And this engine can run on more than 84% ethanol blended petrol. So what is an FFV? The condition is that particular engine should be able to run with 84% ethanol blended petrol. The ethanol blended petrol program, it was launched by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas in 2003. It was launched in 2003, and another important detail. But what are the problems of using this flexible fuel vehicles? It is highly costly compared with petrol vehicles. The running cost will be more than 30% higher when compared to a petrol vehicle. So this 30% will be high when it is 100% ethanol. When you are going to use a 100% ethanol vehicle, that is E100. So what is E100? A fuel which is made of 100% ethanol is called as E100. So such fuels will cost 30% more expenditure. And moreover, ethanol has a very low calorific value. It has just 40% of calorific value when compared to petrol. And also, moreover, the big problem is ethanol acts as a solvent, and so it could it could wipe out the protective film inside the engine. So this will deteriorate the engine, and the engine's life is also reduced. So again the cost is high. So the problem with this flexible fuels is ethanol fuels are costly for running. So the next one is Pralay. So this is an indigenously developed surface to surface missile. So we saw Astra was a air to air missile, and this one Pralay is a surface to surface missile. And something specific is this is India's first conventional quasi ballistic missile. So a quasi ballistic missile, it will have a low trajectory, but at the same time it can maneuver in flight. So we know two types of missiles. So one is a ballistic missile and another one is a cruise missile. So what are cruise missiles? They move for shorter distance when compared to ballistic missiles. These ballistic missiles move to a long range distance, and they move using a parabolic path like this. They go in a parabolic path. But the problem here is cruise missiles, they can maneuver on their way. So if you launch a missile, after you have launched, as the missile is flying on its way, you can maneuver it, you can change its direction. But a ballistic missile, that is not possible. But here this Pralay is specific because cruise missiles can be maneuvered, their direction can be changed, but a ballistic missile, the direction cannot be changed. But this Pralay, it is a quasi ballistic, it is like a ballistic, but it also has the qualities of a cruise missile. Being a ballistic missile, the range goes up to 150 to 500 kilometers, and it also can be maneuvered. This is a highly advantageous missile. The next topic is National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization. You would have known what it is just by the name. An advisory group for immunization, for vaccines, or simply called as NTAGI. The National Immunization Technical Advisory Group is an advisory committee. It consists of multidisciplinary groups of experts for providing information to the government to make decisions on vaccine and immunization policies. So how much vaccines have to be given, whether to approve a vaccine or not, so how to execute the vaccine policy, all these things, advice will be given by this body. And we have to know certain details for prelims, that is, there are bodies present for many other countries, and one is Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices for United States, Australian Technical Advisory Group on Immunization, of course it is for Australia, Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization for United Kingdom, National Advisory Committee on Immunization, it is for Canada. So we have to know these things. US, UK, Canada, of course Australia, the name is there, it's easy to know, but the other three we have to know, which it could come in a match the following sort of question in prelims. And recently this value R is recently seen in newspapers. So what is this value R? Or it is called as the reproduction number. It is an indicator of how quickly a disease is spreading in the population. If the R value is 1, it means every infected person is passing the infection at least to one person on an average. So a key threshold after which cases begin to rise rapidly. So it means if the R value reaches 1, it is an indicator that the cases are going to increase rapidly, and we have to start being aware on it. The next topic is scientists have discovered the first quantum entangled animal. So quantum entanglement we would have seen in atomic particles, subatomic particles, but they have seen an animal is exhibiting quantum entanglement. So this has been found in the very famous this creature which has been seen in news very frequently nowadays for the last 1 year or something, in the same animal called as tardigrade, and it is history frozen. It has been frozen for like many years before, and in that animal they have found that an animal could exhibit quantum entanglement. So this tardigrade are microscopic multicellular organisms known to tolerate extreme physiochemical conditions through a talent state of life known as cryptobiosis. Cryptobiosis is something like hibernation. So we already know what is hibernation, right? So this cryptobiosis is something like hibernation. These creatures use a process called cryptobiosis. So this cryptobiosis is also known as anabiosis. So this cryptobiosis, it is a metabolic state in response to adverse conditions such as freezing, oxygen deficiency, and so on. All metabolic processes like reproduction, development, repair, all these processes will be stopped so that the animal could be in this hibernation sort of state. So how did they find about this quantum entanglement in this animal? So when frozen tardigrades were placed between two capacitor plates of a superconductor circuit, they formed a qubit, the quantum equivalent of a bit. So we know what is a bit, right? 0, 1 in binary numbers. So the quantum variant of this bit is called as qubit. So upon contact, the tardigrade changed the qubit's frequency. So you keep a tardigrade between two superconducting capacitors, it forms a qubit. So when this tardigrade is contacted by something, it changes the frequency of this qubit. So simply to understand, in binary bit, if 0 changes to 1, 1 changes to 0, we call it as change in frequency. Here the qubit's frequency is changed when the tardigrade is contacted. On placing this circuit near a second superconductor circuit, the frequency of both the qubits and the tardigrade change in tandem. So in tandem is something like simultaneously. The word tandem to some extent means simultaneously. So this shows quantum entanglement is happening. So what is tandem is two different activities happening on the same object but in different space and different time. This type of activity is called as tandem. Okay, but this type of activities can be seen only in quantum mechanics. So we can simply explain like an object can be present at different spaces and at different dimensions, but at the same time. Like I am sitting here and talking at the same time. I'll be sitting somewhere in Australia and also talking at the same time. This type of concept is called as quantum mechanics. So this type of activity is being exhibited by this tardigrade. So Albert Einstein, he dismissed such idea of quantum entanglement and called it as a spooky action. But nowadays we are starting to discover that quantum entanglement is a real concept, and we have already invented quantum computers as well. So quantum entanglement makes a phenomena such as quantum teleportation and super dense coding. All these things are possible through a concept called as quantum entanglement. And if you want to know more about this, if you have more curiosity over this, you can browse something called as Philadelphia experiment done by the United States. Back some 50 years or something before, they did some experiment called as Philadelphia experiment. You can browse this and it will be interesting and something related to this concept. And that's it for today. Jai Hind. If you feel our content was useful for you, you could share it with your friends as well. Let's learn together and grow together.